So doing a little work on the Foreman 450 this evening. I want to play around with the digital display because it's about as junk as you can get. I mean, the lens was broken, the LED's toast. Indicator lights work on the top, but that's about it. I've seen lots of speculation online about what works and what doesn't work, and people with no spark issues, and they think it might have something to do with their instrument cluster not working. But I can tell you right now, mine's not even plugged in, and the bike starts and runs. So I solved my spark issues. See? So if you're troubleshooting a no spark issue on your Foreman, it's not your cluster. The cluster's got nothing to do with it. Okay? It's going to be your voltage regulator, or it's going to be your CDI box, or it could be your neutral safety switch. But if that's not working right, it won't even crank. The motor won't even turn over. It needs to see that neutral safety before it'll engage the starter solenoid. So anyway, get a wiring diagram and verify every wire is actually getting to the CDI and doing what it's supposed to be doing. Ignore this relay here. That's just me playing around with, the fan control. This is the oil cooler fan control unit here, which is, of course, it's screwed as well. So it's like what wasn't screwed on this bike. But the CDI, so the pins on this, make sure every wire is going where it's supposed to go and has continuity and has voltage if it's supposed to have voltage. It has ground if it's supposed to have ground. Or it's getting a signal from the pulse sensor in by the stator. You verify all that and everything's good, your CDI's done. Put a new CDI in. Away you go. You got to check the wires to the coil too. But anyway, yeah. Follow the troubleshooting procedure and you'll be happy you did. It will narrow it down. But tonight's challenge is to take that out. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to cut the pigtail off of this wire, because this connector mates with that one. And we are going to look at this beautiful thing. We are going to try to use this. This is off a year newer machine, and it's also an electric shift machine where that machine's an S, so it's just a manual shift. This is for a vehicle that has the electronic shift. The plug is different, and it has an extra plug just for fun. So we're going to end up trying to splice the wiring from that to make this display work. And, really, I'm replacing the display because it's god-awful to look at. But it would be nice if we had some of the things working on it. So we're going to play around with the wiring on this and see if we can make some magic happen. I'm going to try not to cut into this harness because this is a brand new part. It just came out of this Honda box. There's the label. It's never been on a machine before. It's like, what do you call it? Unicorn poop. It's rare. It's pretty rare. They don't sell it anymore. So for folks like us, I mean, mind you, it's a 2003. So what is that? 21 years old. 21 years old. Should we legitimately expect to be able to go buy new parts for a machine that's that old? I mean, you can. I mean, almost everything you can buy still new, which is amazing. There's just a couple things, like the display that you can't get. What else have I run into? There's a few odds and ends you can't buy. But just about everything else you can. Anyway, I picked this up for a couple $100. It was cheap. Transmission wasn't shifting, so you couldn't get neutral, so you couldn't crank the motor, so you couldn't verify it had spark. So I fixed the transmission, which was a shift plate that had moved. It was very simple. Then I was able to shift it, get it in neutral. I had already fooled it and pretended it was in neutral, so it was cranking. I solved the spark issue. It was the voltage regulator. I put a cheap regulator on from Amazon. Don't do that. It lasted about 2 days, and then it blew the CDI box. So spend the money, buy a good part. If it's not a Honda part, then a genuine, like a Rix or something that has a warranty or that's got some quality to it. Spend some money, get a good voltage regulator. Don't buy one from Amazon. because I paid the price. The other thing with Amazon, and this is interesting, my ignition switch was gone when I got this thing. It had no ignition switch. Well, somebody had cobbled in like a snowmobile ignition switch on it, and it was horrible. So I bought this one off Amazon, and yeah, sure, it works, and the lights came on, and the bike starts, and blah, blah, blah. But when it came down to time to troubleshoot, because I got everything working, running, driving, but the cooling fan never came on, and I thought, why isn't the cooling fan coming on? So I started checking the wiring, right? Do I have power? Do I have continuity? And the interesting thing about it is the pink wire, which is right here, the pink wire on the small connector, the 2-pin, that's supposed to have power coming from the 15 amp fuse, which is back here by your battery. I got the cover on, but anyway, it's under here. Well, that 15 amp fuse doesn't have any power when you turn the key on, but it does have power when you turn the key off, which is wrong. It's backwards. So this ignition switch, also an Amazon part, is all screwed up inside. So, you know, you can see headlights come on, the ignition works, but as soon as you turn the key on, it takes power away from the cooling fan, it takes power away from the accessory plug, which is this plug on the side here. So, I mean, it was 14 bucks. It got me going, but at the cost of the cooling fan system, which, you know, I'm going to get it going with I'm actually going to put a relay in there and replace the control box, because it's just a relay. As soon as the temp switch makes, when it gets hot, it closes the connection, gives the system a ground. The fan's supposed to come on. You don't need a control box for that. All you need is a relay, a simple relay that will make that connection when you get a ground. Anyway, so that's what we're doing tonight. My battery's running out on the phone, so I'm gonna have to cut the video short, but maybe I'll do a second video, let you know how it worked out, because we're gonna have to play around with the wires, matching up the different colors and checking the two schematics between the newer style cluster and the old cluster and trying to match up the wiring so it's gonna function. Or not. It'll still look better than that piece of garbage that's in there. And you know what? Looks are half of it, aren't they? That is a beautiful thing. We will not cut that harness. Anyway, hope you're having a good night, or a good day, or a good time. I hope you're fixing something and challenging yourself and thinking things through and printing those wiring diagrams off, figuring things out. I mean, you can go to the internet and ask people's opinions, that's fine, but you know what? You really need to take the time to understand where the wires go, why they go there, okay? And then you can understand why the machine's behaving the way it is. Yep, there's no shortcutting. You get lucky sometimes shortcutting, but honestly, you're better off learning how it works. And in the end, you'll be able to look after it for years. So that's why this 21-year-old dog is here. And we're gonna put it to work. It's gonna be good here on the farm. Anyway, I already said goodbye once. I'll say goodbye again. Cheers.